Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mampolo from Mampolo's Corner. Renee, your mindset. Guys, you see this Fubara and Wike problem? It's just starting now. For those who think that this case is going to quench now. Yeah? If you are thinking that this fight is going to finish anytime soon, you are joking. Yeah, I have seen it. None of them will give up. Because somebody who is a sitting governor, I don't see him wanting to fully dance to what is it called, Wike's tune or that. It's not going to work. So there's bound to be fight, a elongated fight. Very long fight is coming. You see this one out there is Genesis. and Wike, with his own stubbornness and wahala, is not willing to leave that seat. You see that River State seat as a governor for this Fubara to autonomously handle that state. Because it's not ready. He wants to use remote from Abuja to be doing the guy like this. Film this side, left, up, right, left, right, up, right, changing the channel. Well, I know too much. I don't even want to talk too much on this video. Let's relax and enjoy this video. Watch.
Despite the mayhem that occurred some weeks ago in Rivers State over allegation of impeachment threats and setting in place of the State House of Assembly, the Rivers State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal earlier in the week dismissed petitions seeking to nullify the election of Governor Wike Fubara of Rivers State. The Independent National Electoral Commission has on March 18, 2023, declared Governor Fubara of the People's Democratic Party as winner of the governorship election, having polled 302,614 votes ahead of his contestants.
Congratulations.
Displeased with the result of the election, the All Progressive Congress APC, Labour Party, Allied People's Movement, and Accord Party approached the Election Petition Tribunal seeking to nullify the election. But in the judgment, the tribunal affirmed the election of Sim Fubara as validly elected governor of the state. So joining us now on the show is Opunabo Nkotaria, a civil rights advocate and former special advisor to Governor Wike. Great to have you. And we're going to be talking about also the threat to Godfatherism.
Good morning, Rufai.
Yes. The topic is about, Rivers State and threat. So can I ask you this question? It goes like this. With the consolidation at the appeal court, I don't know if the parties will still go to the Supreme Court. Is Fubara one step closer to finally get a finality on the electoral process so that he now deals with the case of his godfather, Wike? Because that matter is not settled yet. There were lots of things Mr. Wike made veiled references for in his last press conference where he talked about Ingrid and all of that. I know Fubara would like to assert himself, probably taking a pound of flesh in that regard. So is this one step closer to Fubara getting full affirmation by the courts about the electoral process? Then the real Casino Royale begins in Rivers State. Is that it?
Okay. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Nigerians. And Dr. Abati, good morning as well.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Well, talking of one step closer, willy-nilly, whether he likes it or not, is a step closer because the Supreme Court is the final court. And whether he believes that or not, it is the final court. So he's just a step closer because that is the final court, and whatever decision the Supreme Court, whatever pronouncement it makes, becomes what it is, unless you're going to appeal to God. And God is not going to intervene here in Rivers State, Abuja, but here in Rivers State on the governorship election tribunal. So definitely he's one step away. Whether he likes it or not, he's one step away. That is the answer to your question. Before we go into the issue of
going to the
Godfatherism
issue,
in Rivers
Godfatherism and asserting himself. So definitely Fubara will now start to assert himself as regards what's happening in Rivers State. Talk about that vis-a-vis this talk about Godfatherism. Because the fight is not over. In fact, it's just started. It's a big battle royale in Rivers.
I'm very happy, Rufai, that you're quite insightful. Insightful in the sense that you agree with me that the issue of the peace talk is just a smokescreen. It's a facade. The battle has not even started, so to speak. On the issue, I refer to it as pestilence of Godfatherism. We have a situation where the governor is being asphyxiated. You have a situation where the governor is being manacled, he's been handcuffed. For example, you have the special assistants, you have the commissioners, you have, sorry, are you talking?
No, continue.
No, I'm not saying anything, sir.
No,
No,
what
Are
do you
you
mean?
talking? I
Continue.
think there's a gap in communication.
I'm not saying anything.
You have the issue of the, because I saw your hand gesticulating of that. You have the issue of the appointment of special advisors, the appointment of commissioners, the appointment of chief of staff, the appointment of ADCs and oddlies. Well, the governor appoints, he's the appointer, but the truth is that they were imposed on him, foisted on him because they were nominated by his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. And aside from that, we also know authoritatively that even when it comes to the issue of mandate, the signing of non-mandate, he needed the imprimatur of his predecessor to sign those mandates. The governor could not do anything of his own volition. In the issue of Office of the First Lady, I can tell authoritatively as well that it doesn't exist in Rivers State. Why doesn't it exist? Because the governor had warned him that I don't want to hear anything like the issue of the Office of the First Lady. So this was the kind of situation that the present governor, Wike Fubara, found himself in Rivers State. And don't forget that when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with redoubled effort. That notwithstanding, he was being very careful because he appreciated the fact that, the former governor, who is now the president who is now the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, was instrumental to his emergence.
No,
even though
installed
he was
him
not
like
willing
an app. Installed him.
to accept to run for the office of the governor in Rivers State. But at least he was convinced by the former governor, who is now the minister. From now on, I'll keep saying who is the minister, who is now the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, to run for. He goaded him, and the guy eventually accepted. Whatever agreement they had behind the scenes, it's none of our business. It's not the business of Rivers people. You're there as a governor, you're there in our image, you ought to be there in our image, and you ought to ensure that good governance prevails. So whatever private agreement they had, but I can tell you that the problem we are having in Rivers State is like what I said, the pestilence of Godfatherism. It is a situation where you have wealth tainted by cupidity and is being festered by the desire to control, egoism. That is what is going on. How dare you? Now, former minister himself, the present minister himself said he bought forms. In any civilized clime, by now you should be cooling off his heels in one of these either DSS or police detention camps.
That's an indictment.
He bought forms for everybody. He said that. Nobody did not say that.
That's an indictment.
That he bought forms for everyone. With whose money?
Rivers State peoples.
People talk of good governance, and people talk of infrastructure. I think it's a distorted understanding of what really went on in Rivers State. I'm a Rivers man. For 8 solid years, there was no agriculture in Rivers State. For 8 solid years, in fact, the employment rate dropped. We're about the least employed state in Rivers State, in the country. Maybe the second or third.
That means the election was not free and fair.
People were hungry.
If you bought form or others.
And you're talking of infrastructure. What infrastructure precisely are you even talking about?
Bridge.
Okay, no agriculture. You're talking of building of bridges.
Yes.
Yes.
I need you to clarify something for me.
I can hear you.
And then I will ask my question.
Yes.
You were talking about Office of the First Lady.
Okay.
Are you trying to suggest that Nyesom Wike, the former governor, also wants to take it upon himself to appoint a First Lady for the governor of Rivers State? Is that what you are suggesting? That's the clarification I want.
No, not at all. But you see, the issue of the Office of the First Lady, if I have to expatiate on that, maybe I should elucidate.
Okay, let me then ask my question first.
If you'll allow me.
Let me ask my question, and then you can take everything together. The question is this. Fubara was Director of Finance and Administration in Government House. He was later Permanent Secretary. He was later Accountant General of the state. At those levels, he had some level of control. Now, what we're hearing is that as governor, he's not allowed to control anything. He's not even allowed to travel out of the state.
You mean that?
He's been held hostage. He's a prisoner as a governor. Is it true?
In Government House.
As some people allege, that Nyesom Wike from Abuja is in fact not just controlling the APC, that he's also controlling both the PDP and the APC in Rivers. How true is that? Back to you.
That's incontrovertible. I can tell you, Doc, it's incontrovertible. Okay, for example, now we have the recent appointment of the caretaker committee of the APC. We are talking of members, Tony Okocha and co. These were all engineered by Nyesom Wike. It's not hidden fact. They were all orchestrated by him. Meanwhile, to leave the PDP, he doesn't want to leave the PDP. As for the PDP, of course, before he left the state, he was in charge of the structure. You know, the governors are leaders of the parties. So he was in charge of the structure. And when he said somebody was supposed to take away the structure or wants to take the structure away from it is completely laughable. It suffers from eclipse of vision and poverty of logic. Because if we talk of the structure, we have the issue of Dr. Peter Odili, who had the strongest structure and strongest hold on the structure in PDP in Rivers State. Nobody is trying to take that away. He was just in charge of the financial structure and not necessarily the structure of the PDP in the state. Then let me go back to the issue of the First Lady. You see, in as much as it is unconstitutional, illegal, that you don't really have the office of the First Lady, but we all know that it has become a norm. And Wike himself said, even in churches, that he doesn't want to hear the issue of First Lady. In churches, it's on record. He doesn't want to hear the issue of First Lady. You know, what he wants is absolute control. He doesn't want anybody, even those who are supposed to visit the governor and government house, are being restricted. And if anybody gets into government house, immediately one or two persons call him. And he's going to lambast the governor for doing that without his consent. This thing played out itself in the appointment of the Commissioner for Information, in the appointment of how do they describe this thing? Is it a specially abled person?
Okay. A senior special government. Assistant to the governor.
Wike was peeved that those appointments were made. Even the issue of the Songhai, which was set up by Rotimi Amechi.
No, but
which was supposed to provide
but with the physically challenged
employment. Sorry,
with some of those appointments, I think Wike's
physically challenged.
Yes. Wike's argument is that Fubara was beginning to appoint people from Okpobo, from his own town.
No, that was not
without clearance.
That was a special reason. That was a special reason. Good, you said without clearance. Do you need clearance from your predecessor to make any appointments? You're in charge. But that reason, that when they said the Pope was special, why did Fubara cancel most of the appointments at Ajuri University? Most of them were inquiries. I don't want to bring in tribalistic sentiments here. We all know that if you get to Rivers State today, most of the appointments done by Nyesom Wike, we are tribalistic. And Fubara said most of them we are not even qualified. And that was why he had to cancel all. I'm talking about Ajuru. So those sentiments are special. In the public, they will say, oh, he's trying to... But let us look at it this way. Who was supposed to even be the chief judge of Rivers State right now? Although it's a political appointment. Ruben, you're a lawyer, you know that.
Okay.
It's political. But who is actually supposed to be the chief judge of the state right now? And who is the chief judge of the state right now? I'm not saying the man is not competent. But we all are going to agree with me that seniority counts a lot in law.
Okay, sir, can you hear me? Okay. This morning, let's dig deeper.
Yes, I can hear you, Rufa.
Right. Let's dig deeper.
Yes.
When did you fall out with Governor Wike? Because you were an advisor to him. Some people will say what you're doing now is sour grapes because you've fallen out with him. Where did you fall out with him, and why did you fall out with him? Secondly, in this...
I don't give it... I'm not bothered about what people say.
No. I want to... Let me finish my question, please. Okay. I beg you. In this Casino Royale that is about to start, or this battle that is about to start in Rivers State, let me dig deeper by talking about something that mixes both people. At some point in the past, Governor Fubara was said to have escaped an arrest, possible arrest by EFCC at the airport. A certain group leading up to the election said there was a talk about 117 billion fraud.
Jesus.
Will all of this come to the table? How does that nexus come between Governor Fubara and former Governor Wike? Let's dig deeper.
Okay, I'll tell you, I'll quickly say this.
Yes.
On the issue of my falling out, in all honesty, while I was in office, I didn't have any problem with finances. I must be honest with you. No problem at all. It had to do with personal relationship. When I mean personal, attitudinal differences. You know, for example, somebody might give you the whole world and every day calls you a stupid man, which you might not be able to brook. And you say, well, thank you for giving me this whole world, but for calling me a stupid man, I have to leave.
Carry the whole
We
world.
all have our differences and we all have things we pride ourselves with. So that is all about that. That is all about that. Then on the issue of the fraud allegation, you all agree with me that I know a lot of persons are going to argue that you can't insulate, because if you're asked to do a thing and you don't feel like doing it, you have a right to say, I'm leaving, I'm resigning.
That's right.
I agree. While we are here to substantiate that, because it's an allegation from EFCC, and we all know that most of the cases from EFCC were thrown out in courts. We all know. So until it has been substantiated, then we can say, okay. But in the case of Fubara, for example, he was Director of Finance, Government House, became PAMSEC Finance, became, what is it called again, Accountant General of the State, and so on. Just like the issue of the Buhari and the issue of Emefiele. Today, Emefiele has been haunted. I'm not making excuses for him. But it is also funny that Emefiele is haunted and Buhari, who gave all the premature, is being left alone. So the same thing with Fubara. If today EFCC is arresting Fubara, it's because as at that time Wike had immunity and could have been arrested. So probably they were going after Fubara in order to get information which they will use to bolster their cases against Wike when he leaves office. But we've not heard anything about that now. Fubara himself couldn't have approved those things without the consent and mandate of Nyesom Wike, who was his principal, who was his governor. And the world has not come out to tell us, none has come out to tell us, this is the true situation of things. So there is no way you can indict Fubara, for example, notwithstanding the immunity, and at the same time exonerate Nyesom Wike from it. Because he couldn't have done that without his mandate. So if A is guilty, if you say Fubara is also accused of that, yes, is after therefore is guilty, then by extension, Wike is also guilty. So we are going to wait for the events on that issue to unfold. And I think at that appropriate time, the security operatives, I pray that they won't be pocketed at this point in time. Because I lack respect for most of our agencies and institutions in this country.
Forget about it.
Okay.
I'm very sorry to say that. I lack respect for most of them. But if eventually they come up to tell us the truth, then we'll now know the truth and know the level of involvement.
Okay. You started by talking about the significance of Governor Fubara's victory at the Court of Appeal and at the tribunal. With the Court of Appeal saying that
we are quite elated. Rivers people are elated, yes.
That the petitioners could not prove their allegation of substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and that the petitions lacked merit. But in the case of
merit,
they said the tribunal was wrong to have dismissed him on the grounds that his party had withdrawn from the case, but that as an individual, and a stakeholder in the process, he had the right. But despite that, they also said his case lacks merit. So Fubara may well win the legal battle, but will he be able to govern? When this same Wike, the Godfather, was there, we kept hearing about commissioning of roads, commissioning of bridges, one project after another. No, this was reported. It was a regular thing, right? But since Fubara got there, more than 6 months now, it's all about fight and noise and quarrel. How would they be able to serve the people of River State? Which is Godfather say the battle will not end until it is over. And with the House of Assembly trying to impeach him.
I don't want peace.
Whatever happens, even if he survives, it's very clear that Wike will not allow him to get a second term.
I don't want peace.
He will go and wait for him.
I want problem.
Is he not bothered
always
by that? And is he not concerned that he will not even be allowed to function and serve the people?
Voila.
Okay, thank you, Ruben. First and foremost, it will be quite erroneous for anybody to think Wike doesn't even have the clout the world thinks he has. He doesn't. He's an opportunist. It's as simple as that. If he thinks that he's going to make the state ungovernable for Fubara, then it's a grand delusion. I say grand delusion because when he started it, there was also an attempt on the life of Fubara. Most people have swept that under the carpet. That's a very serious issue. And a sitting governor, serving governor. Now, when that Intifada and co orchestrated, when it all started, don't forget that Rivers people came out, their tribe, came out to say enough. Look, for the last 8 years, it was a march of terror, conquest, and subjugation in Rivers State under Nyesom Wike. People could not come out to talk because they were scared and not out of respect or love.
So they fear.
Now, when Fubara took over and that whole mess came up, you saw how Rivers people gathered. They supported Fubara.
Yes.
And most of us are upset because he keeps preaching peace. Right there? We all agree that we love peace, but in most cases, the peace will come after the war.
You are making sense.
If somebody slaps you today and you walk away, the person will have the gumption to slap you tomorrow. But if he slaps you today and retaliate, even if the person is stronger than you, the person will think twice tomorrow.
You go reason
Will do the same thing.
Okay, wait a minute.
And that's what we expect of the governor.
Wait a minute. Now you're saying...
Now, I want to address the issue of the issue. How can he govern? How can he go? I want to address that issue.
Address that. I'll ask you a question, yeah.
A lot of people say the governor is stingy, the governor is this, the governor is that. He's not. He's an accountant. He's prudent. Not that he's stingy.
Prudency.
But where is the money? Talk of the ring road, for example. The ring road, even the minister himself admitted, we don't need a ring road in River State.
We don't need that.
We don't need it. Every day you talk of project. What project? No agriculture, we don't have transportation, nothing. You talk of project. No. Why? We all know why you're insisting on project.
No
to feather your pockets.
To pocket.
Okay, please, I'd like to come in here.
No employment.
Please. Now, as we speak, no House of Assembly. Who is going to pass the budget? The president did his own yesterday. Who is going to pass that budget?
Okay.
Even the ring road is tied to even the budget that is going to be passed. Where will the money come from?
Okay, hang on a minute.
Where?
Hang on a minute, sir.
So his answer fettered.
Hang on.
Yes.
Hang on a minute.
Hang on.
Now, all of a sudden, you're saying
Yes.
Wike that you once served is no consequential. It doesn't have the clout. But let me use your words. When this same Wike...
Don't forget, I resigned within 1 year.
No, hang on a minute. Let me finish, please.
So,
when this same Wike
yes,
was sort of like a peshmerga to Fubara's Intifada just to be able to get him in there, he was of no consequence then. No. When he won elections and handed over the governorship seat to Fubara, he was of great consequence then.
It was consequential.
Is it because the man is no longer in the States? That's why you want to kick him out? And this is a fair question because we balance all sides of views. Because now you're obviously saying, oh, Fubara is fighting the Intifada. But the Intifada they first fought was for even Fubara, an outlier candidate, to get in there and get the governorship seat. So Wike was good then, but all of a sudden it's no longer good.
It's now inconsequential. Why?
okay, 1 minute. I'll quickly respond to that now. First and foremost, we all know the power of incumbency. There are certain things that cannot be said on air, but we all know the power of incumbency. That's number one. Most people, like he said himself, he bought forms for almost everybody, if not everybody. And when you say you bought forms for everybody, that you're indicting yourself inadvertently.
Yes.
You're already in charge, which with democracy never really took place. We are talking of the emergence of a party candidate right now. And before now, the air was suffused with the clamor for a riverine governor. Since 1999, we've always had an upland governor. So we were yearning for a riverine governor. And the air was suffused with that clamor. And that's why we said most riverine people should come out and contest. eventually Sim was brought out. And Sim was brought out simply principally because he felt he was going to control him.
Yes.
But don't forget, when a man is pushed to the wall, he bounces back with redoubled effort. And every spirit revolts at tyranny. He felt, okay, Dumo Lulu Briggs is there. My brother Dele Cole is also there. Well, these are riverine people. So we know the sentiment. We know the sentiment. So let me also bring out a riverine man that I can trust. A riverine man that will not betray me.
I can control.
And that was why he settled for Sim.
Okay.
And brought us in. As far as River State was concerned, we wanted a riverine governor. That is the truth about it. So when Sim was brought as the PDP candidate for the 2023 general elections, we all said, well, if it's riverine, then let's select.
Right.
And then the power of incumbency came in. You know, we are all Nigerians. You know what Nigerian politics is all about.
We know you people.
What you try to do is to catch in on the pecuniary status of your
corruption.
People.
That's just what you're
Those
saying.
that don't know will say no.
Corruption.
Will say yes.
Corruption.
You people are corrupt.
Corruption. That's what you're saying. That's the power of incumbency. Corruption to win election.
Our democracy is corrupt.
Dead.
We don't practice democracy in this country. I must say, nationally. If you want to go into that, I can go into that. We don't practice democracy in this country.
You practice corruption.
In recent times now, even we don't elect our leaders. Our courts dictate to us who does
Corruption. That's why you're.
But because we are consigned to River State, I'll leave it here. So let us leave that aspect.
We have to bring this to a close.
Guys, don't shoot our video. You people practice what is called corruptcracy, not democracy. The man has finished everything. The question have been asked properly. I have nothing to talk too much about this video. You see this country, you see where we're there now. Before we go change the situation. Before we're able to change this status quo, it will take God plus Jesus Christ plus Holy Spirit plus God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit all together. Look, I don't talk too much, guys. If you love what you're doing here, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, even on TikTok. All of my plus gonna love, guys. Peace out.